Hello. So in this video, we're going to talk about Standard 1, Part 3, which is teachers leading the teaching profession. Here we're looking at a teacher striving to improve the entire profession by contributing to positive working conditions, by being active in terms of advocating for students and advocating for the entire school and the needs of that community, promoting professional growth for all educators and collaborating with colleagues to improve the profession. So, one of the ways that we can do this is through our involvement in government. And as you know, funding and support for schools and for education comes from a number of sources. Some funding comes from the federal government, some comes from state level government, and some comes from our local, which would be the city county. So we're going to talk just a little bit about how then teachers can be advocates through the use of their voices and connections with legislators. So one of the things that I'm thinking about is how do we talk with legislators? What is it that we say? How do we actually use that venue? Well, one of the things that's really important is to have your points really well defined before you are sitting there or on the phone with this lawmaker, this legislator. So, just have some bulleted points already written down that you're going to discuss, and not too many, because it can be overwhelming. So, to clarify maybe two or three major points that you want discussed. And then you're going there to not just discuss these points, but to ask for some action. And that means having an idea of what it is you want them to do. What is the outcome that you're looking for? We want to make sure that we're using their time wisely. Excuse me. So it means that you have clearly thought about the benefit of whatever it is that you're asking them to do. If you're asking them to support, let's say, a bond that's coming up in the next election that would put more funding into schools' recreation programs, then, that's the kind of thing that you should already thought about and the benefit that it would bring to the children and to the community. Be sure that when you're in a session with a legislator or a lawmaker, either term is okay, that you actually solicit their support. So it's one thing to say, I'd love to have a conversation with you, but you have to make the ask. So, ask them for what it is that you really want them to do. Sometimes it's as simple as, I want you to come out and visit my school one day so that you can see how we are using funds that were appropriated over the last 5 years. So it could be that kind of visit where you're not really asking them for something else, but you want them to see what the utilization looks like and how you're shepherding the funds that have already come into the school. And that's a really, really good move because it better assures you that they will have your back when it's time to vote for something else in terms of funding because they see that you are taking care of and really utilizing the resources that have already been given. Another thing would be for you to demonstrate that you have support for these requests. So if you belong to a professional organization, to have their support is also very, very critical. It's a really strong piece. I wouldn't say critical. You could go on your own, but it's better to not go on your own. It would be much better to have the support of a professional organization or your faculty or your professional learning group. And, maybe they've signed a petition or some kind of letter where this is something that they recognize as a group of faculty members that's needed at that school. And of course, having the principal's endorsement to all of that is very, very important before moving forward. Always tell the truth. That's an important piece there in these tips for talking with legislators. Always tell the truth. Don't embellish. Just don't exaggerate anything. Don't make up a story. Just tell exactly what it is that points to and that illustrates the need for whatever it is that you're asking. Report facts. Know your own profession and the issues really, really well. Be respectful, not critical, and not political. And so this is not the time to um, let them know what party that you're affiliated with, what party you're affiliated, or to even show any kind of leaning toward theirs or questions about their party affiliation. In this case, it should not matter, and you don't want it to matter. You don't want to bring in party politics. We should think of education as nonpartisan. This is about the children and not about political persuasions. Remember that timing is critical. You want to strike when the iron is hot. So if there's an issue that has been in the news a lot lately, or something that is getting a lot of public attention on social media across the country or just in your state when it comes to education, and there's a piece of that you feel like where that legislator and you having a conversation could make a difference, then that's a really good time to do it when the attention is already being brought to it through the media. And finally, in terms of these tips, I would say follow up with a thank you. And back in the day, we would send a formal letter or a handwritten formal thank you note. That's still appropriate. So that while that's something that people did a long time ago, it's still very well respected. However, using email or text is still sufficient, and any of those doing any one of those is still better than doing none. So once you've had this meeting with a legislator and been given an audience and given their ear, then it is very appropriate to follow up and say thank you.